Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome to another Aquarium Online Academy. My name is Tina, and I will be your educator today. I will go ahead and step on screen. There we go. It is so good to see everybody again. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a really fun program where we get to not only interact and observe some really amazing things together, but we also have the chance to use our hands and create some awesome ocean magic. Now, before I get too ahead of myself here, I do want to say that if at any point today you would like to share your observations, you just want to drop in and say hi, or anything you'd like, I would encourage you to feel free to text our number 562-286-1838, where we will be able to hear your questions, comments, and observations live on the air and give you an answer right here, right now. That is if you are watching us November 20th at 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You are more than welcome to interact with us while we are live, but if you are not watching us live at this date and time, you are more than welcome to still tell us what your questions and observations are by emailing us at live@lbaop.org. One of my coworkers does monitor that email line, so we'll be sure to get back to you as well. Alrighty, my friends, we are going to warm up our scientist brains before we get into our drawing and so forth by making some observations, okay? We're going to be taking a look at this wonderful video that's behind me, all of this wonderful magic that's back here. All of these beautiful pictures and videos are going to be controlled by my friend Connolly, who is behind the scenes, behind that camera over there. So please feel free to say hi to Connolly in the chat if you would like to. Now, I'm going to step off screen. While I'm stepping off screen, feel free to tell me what you're seeing, what colors, what shapes you might be seeing, anything that you're noticing. You can go ahead and text us in those observations at 562-286-1838. Again, I'll step off so that you can have the view all to yourself. And it can be absolutely anything you say. I'll even take a prediction as well. You can think, or maybe you can predict, I think the water is warm. I think the water is cold. Maybe you're noticing how these animals are moving around. Maybe there's an animal that you're already familiar with as well. And then I'll give you a couple more moments to take those observations. And while you're making them, I'm going to explain the materials that you're going to need for our craft today. And then I'll come back on the screen and show you the materials that I have with me. So feel free to grab any kind of coloring medium. It could be color pencil, crayons, markers, pens, even just a normal pencil. You're welcome to grab anything that is more convenient to you. Whatever you got is perfectly fine. And then I want you to grab some pieces of scrap paper. It could be lined paper, printer paper, cardstock, whatever you have. I happen to have a couple different colors of cardstock paper. Maybe you have construction paper you can take too. I have green, I have orange, blue, and white. Again, you don't need those exact colors, but you're more than welcome to copy me if you would like. That's absolutely fine with me. All right, I will step back onto the screen. The video that we are taking a look at right now, this is actually one of our habitats that we have here at the aquarium. This is, whoa, one of our bat rays just decided to come say hello. This is Blue Cavern, one of the tallest habitats that we have here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. This is modeled after a real live dive site that's off the coast of Catalina Island, which is also here in Southern California. Blue Cavern is a real space that divers can go to investigate. It's also a wonderful home for all of these animals that you're seeing here, all of their cousins that live out in nature, out in the ocean. Now, when we take a look at this video, what are some things that we are seeing right off the bat? What kinds of color palettes are we noticing? Do we see really bright, vibrant colors, or do we see more cooler tones, maybe some more natural earth tones? What do you think? I don't really see too much like hot pinks or a lot of purples or anything like that, I do see a lot of green around me. I see that the water is mostly blue. I'm seeing a lot of gray, maybe some brown too. So that tells me that the coloring pencils that I have, or the markers, the crayons, whatever you'd like to draw this habitat, gotta be around this kind of color palette. So feel free to grab any kind of neutral color pens or pencils or markers or, again, whatever you got with you. And then maybe we'll get into a couple of other special colors. Does anyone else would like to share something that they're noticing on this habitat? I'm seeing right over here, swimming on by, is one of our beautiful leopard sharks. Leopard sharks are a smaller species of shark that you can find here in Southern California. They grow about 3 to 4 feet long or so, almost my height, maybe a little bit shorter than me. And they have beautiful spots all over their body. One just swam right behind the rock here as well. You'll notice that there might be another animal swimming on by that has a couple of spots on them too. We're noticing that this water seems to be very gray, seems to be a little bit murky, right? Or even if you go into the ocean here in Southern California, you might notice that it doesn't really look crystal clear as some maybe more tropical, warmer waters look. And some folks might get a little nervous around more murkier water, which is very fair because it's hard to see into. But all of this murkiness that you're seeing, that cloudiness, just means that our waters are chock full of wonderful nutrients that are super important for the animals that live there and also for the algae and other kinds of organisms that call this place home. This kind of environment we call a kelp forest. This is a kelp forest ecosystem. That is what we have here in California, or on the Pacific coast, rather, from California all the way up to Oregon and Washington, all the way up there as well. The temperature of this habitat can range anywhere from about 50 to 60 degrees. I don't really think it gets 70 degrees. I think that's going to be way too warm for these folks over here. But a lot of our touch pools that we have do happen to be around 52 to 62 degrees, and that, I was going to say time frame. That's not a time. In that temperature range, my friends. Now, a lot of the fish that you're seeing are moving around. Some of them are moving fast. Some of them, like this one back here behind me, is moving incredibly slow. And then another one behind me isn't moving at all. These are some creatures that we are going to talk about, but before I get there, I'm going to jump over to my document camera to show you my craft setup, because as I'm teaching about these animals, we're going to be drawing them on our craft together. Come on over, my friends. So over here, I have my different kinds of papers. These are the different colors I was telling you about. Now, of course, you do not need these exact colors, okay? As a matter of fact, I don't even need this one, really. I'm not going to be using this one in my craft. What I did, using one piece of scrap paper, I kind of cut wavy green strands. Again, if you just have normal or blank paper, feel free to cut out strands just like this, make sure they're nice and wiggly, and then you can color them green if you would like. This is going to represent some of the beautiful kelp that we're going to talk about, okay? And then you're going to cut out 2 pieces of paper. Oh my goodness, hard to pick up. One is going to be about 1 inch thick and about 1 foot long. Another about 2 inches long and 1 inch thick, like this. The craft that we are going to be making together is a fun interactive craft, one of my favorite ones. We're going to be creating our own kelp forest with a fish that's going to be able to swim behind and through some kelp. So that's the one strip of paper I was showing you. The little gray box, I know my colors. The little orange box is going to be our fish, and then this is our background. We are intentionally leaving it a little bit more blank so that you, on your own, can fill in your own kelp forest however you would like. So feel free to take a picture of this if you would like, or pause your video so you can have this as a reference. Or if you also want to pause your video right now so that you can gather these materials, cut out your strips of kelp and these pieces, you're more than welcome to do so. Feel free to take a picture of that as well. I do also have several different colors with me. I have some greens and blues. I have pink and orange, and then a lot of more darker colors like the grays, blacks, blues, and even browns that we saw in that habitat, okay? I want you to take a guess. Which colors do you think I'm going to use for animals? And then which colors do you think I'm going to use for the habitat around? We will find out. Here is what I would love to do. I'm wondering, let's go back to either that beautiful blue cavern video or any other video of a kelp forest. I would love to start by talking about the habitat itself, because that's what we're going to be drawing first. What's something that we're noticing right off the bat about this habitat? I see 2 really big objects on the ground of this habitat. What do you see? I see really, really big rocks. Now, rocks are really important for a kelp forest habitat because it provides a lot of space and areas for our kelp to grow. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how that kelp grows. Alrighty? I'm going to switch you right back over to my document camera. I'm sorry, Connolly, I'm making you jump back and forth. We're going to start off by drawing some rocks in our kelp forest. Now, our rocks are part of the habitat that we call an abiotic factor. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and write that down for you. We'll learn some vocabulary words too as we are drawing. Our abiotic factors, this is how we spell it. Abiotic means non-living. Our non-living factors in our habitat, a wonderful example are going to be the rocks, right? Now, before we draw those rocks, what are the rocks? I don't want to say sitting on. What are the rocks resting on? Sand, absolutely. I'm going to draw right down here at the bottom of my paper a nice squiggly line, however squiggly you would like. You can draw some dots in there if you want as well. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see my dots. If you want to fully color it in, please feel free. In an effort to save time, I'm just going to make my little dots. Now from that sand, I'm going to draw my rocks. I might draw one right over here. The key to drawing a really good rock, I think, is to make it as interesting shape as you can. Make it look not perfect, which I know sounds a little bit weird, right? One thing my coworkers taught me is to make it look a little bit more realistic. You can add some cracks into your rock by just drawing some squiggly lines all over your rock. Again, yours does not have to look just like mine. It can look however you would like. You can add more than 2 rocks if you want. You can add another little rock right over here. Again, this is your happy little kelp forest. Alright, and I'll do one more line. There. Great, so we have 2 abiotic factors, our sand and our rocks, okay? Of course, another abiotic factor, probably the most important, is going to be the water that this habitat is in. So while I'm not going to color my entire paper blue right now, I will do a little water line closer to the top edge of my paper. Again, little waves, uneven or as even as you want, totally up to you. Beautiful. So we have our rocks, our sand, and we put ourselves underwater. Let's take a look at a close-up video of kelp to see how our kelp moves and to see the different structures of our kelp. What are we noticing about this video here? Show me with your bodies, how is the kelp moving? Yeah, very good. It's swaying back and forth, right? Because the water is pushing it those directions. Now, noticing our kelp is reaching all the way up to the surface of our ocean. You can see the sunlight that's peeking through. And then, look at that. All the way over here, this is a little bit of a better view. On this side, we're noticing that the kelp is covering almost the entire surface of the water. Kelp can grow really, really fast, especially this kelp, which is called giant kelp. Giant kelp can grow about 2 feet per day. That's a lot. I wish I could grow 2 feet per day. That would be wonderful. Now, my friends, when our kelp grows all the way up to the surface of the water, do you think they're able to grow past the surface of the water? I don't think gravity is on their side for that one. So what they do when they hit the surface, they grow and grow and grow, and then they start growing sideways. And that's why you're seeing a lot of kelp, what looks like covering that surface. Alrighty? Why do we think they want to grow upwards, that direction? Can you think of anything on land that grows up towards the sun like that? Yeah, maybe a tree or grass or some kinds of plants. Kelp is kind of funny. It looks like a plant. It loves the sun like a plant. It looks like it's kind of moving like a plant. But our kelp is actually a form of algae. And that's because it has a really interesting root system. I'm wondering, Connolly, do we have a close-up picture video of the root system of kelp? Okay, if not, no worries. I would love to talk a little bit more about the different kinds of algae or different kinds of kelp that you might see here in Southern California. This is just one kind of species of kelp. There are other kinds of kelp like bull kelp. There's also different colored algae as well. This is a green algae. There's also purple algae too. And all of these do in fact thrive off of the sunlight as well. They get a lot of energy from the sun, a lot of nutrients from that nutrient-dense and rich water that we talked about before. I love this video because you see the clear evidence of the sunshine peering through that canopy layer of our kelp forest. Our kelp forest is kind of similar to a rainforest that way too, because the rainforests are so dense that it's hard for us to look up to the sky when you're underneath all those trees, right? Thank you, Connolly, for finding this. I appreciate it. This is what the root structure of kelp looks like. When you see your plants on the ground, or if you have a garden, you don't really see the roots of your plants, right? Because they're in the ground. But for kelp, the roots are out of the sand and they are exposed. Think about sand. Do you think sand is very loose and free-flowing, or is it densely packed like dirt? Yeah, it's a little bit loose and free-flowing, right? So if our kelp were to try to grow roots in the sand, it might just get absolutely blown away. Oh, perfect. Zoom in. Thank you. Blown away by the ocean currents. The ocean currents might be a little bit too strong. So what kelp needs to do is hold on to a really strong surface. What better surface than the rocks that we just drew? This part of the kelp is called the holdfast. The holdfast is a wonderful, intricate root system that allows our kelp to hold on, hence the name holdfast, to those rocks. So that's the first part of the kelp we're going to draw. Then we're going to draw what we call the stipe of the kelp, what goes all the way up and reaches to the surface. Off of the stipe, we're going to draw the blades of kelp. Now I know when we think of plants, we would call these leaves, right? But again, kelp is an algae, so we call these blades. Now next to our blades is a funny little thing called a pneumaticist. And I did not bring my example kelp with me today, but that is a-okay. I'll draw it for you so that way you can see it. Oh, I couldn't see it. It's all the way against the wall. I will grab it. But before we do that, let's go to my document camera and start drawing that holdfast and drawing that stipe. Okay, my friends? Now those holdfasts are really wiggly and curvy. You can pick anywhere on your rocks you want your kelp to grow. I'm going to use a mixture of brown and green, and I'm just going to go crazy. Hold fast 1. Squiggles, squiggles, squiggles. Hold fast 2. And I'm doing one over here. Squiggles, 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 squiggles. Perfect. Hold fast 3. And that stipe is going to grow all the way up nice and curvy and wiggly to the surface of the water. And then, oh, do you remember what happens when we hit the surface? That's right. We start growing sideways. This one I might make, I'll go over here for this one. Maybe this one's not quite there yet. Perfect. Now I'm going to show you an example of what our beautiful pneumaticist would look like. That's the place for our, whoa, there's so many. So much kelp. So much kelp. Okay, perfect. This is the place for our blades to grow. So this is just a model. We just drew this stipe over here. We're going to draw this part, a little bubble, that's filled with air. If you've ever been to the beach and seen this wash up on shore, you might pop these, right? This is what helps our kelp to float. And then our blades are kind of in the shape of a teardrop, right? So we're going to replicate that really quick. You can make as many or as little amount of leaves as you want. Again, in the interest of time, I'm only going to draw just a couple leaves. So make a little dot for that pneumaticist, big word, that air bladder, or that bubble of air, on every one of these little lines where you want your blades to go. Now that blade was a teardrop. Teardrape? That's not a thing. Teardrop shape. So I'm going to do a squiggle, and then another squiggle to meet it. You can just make an oval if you would like, but continue going around your kelp to make your blades. Again, please feel free to pause this video if you would like in order to catch up. Take your time. The wonderful thing is we are able to do that while we are on the air. You can color these in as well a little bit later on if you would like to. Alrighty, we got some beautiful kelp here, but don't forget, I also have some more beautiful kelp right over here that we are going to tape on. I did forget to mention tape and glue. If you have some, you are more than welcome to pause the video and grab it. I'm going to add this on to my kelp forest using just a little piece of tape. Let's see, where do I want this one? I think I want this one. Maybe I'll have it go off the page. Why not? I'll have it next to this one. I'll put my other little one kind of right down here at the base of this rock. You can put your kelp pieces wherever you would like. Again, this is just how I am doing it. You do not have to do it exactly like I am. That is absolutely fine. And I'll tape those there. Great, now we have some drawn kelp and some movable kelp around us. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of the animals that live inside of our kelp forest. I would like to talk about the smaller critters that might not do too much swimming around, and I think Connolly can read my brain on this one. These ones are very interesting because of the texture of their skin. We have a lot of these animals in touch pools around the aquarium that you get to interact with. They are called invertebrates. Now, of course, we are getting into our biotic factors of our kelp forest, which I'll write that word out for you in a little bit. This one is called our sea urchin. Now, if we were to touch it, what do you think it would feel like? Pretty spiky, right? I would absolutely agree with that. So when we draw our sea urchins, we're going to use like a purple or maybe even a red color too, because there are purple, red, green, and even pink urchins as well. We're going to draw a bunch of spines all over their body. And notice where it's sitting. It's sitting on a blade of kelp. Kelp are the sea urchin's favorite kind of food, specifically the roots of kelp, right? So we want to make sure that we don't have too many urchins in our kelp forest, or else they're going to eat all of our kelp. Another wonderful critter that lives in our kelp forest that it's related to our sea urchins are the sea stars. We can draw a couple of sea stars as well throughout our kelp forest if you like. Our sea stars are the shape of a star. You guessed it. Excellent job, my friends. That means that they have 5 arms all over their body, which is what we will draw. And notice the different colors that we have here too. These are some of our ochre stars. We have orange, pink. There are some red ones over there as well. We also have some beautiful anemones. This is a wonderful video of one of the touch pools that we have here at the aquarium. Again, these are all animals with no bones in their body that you can find in your kelp forest. Let's go back to my document camera and we'll draw those little critters in really fast. So for my urchins, what I'm going to do, by the base of our kelp, I'm going to draw, there are 2 different ways really you can do this. You can fill in a circle and then draw lines all over, or you can just go crazy like I'm doing down here and draw a bunch of lines. Alrighty. For our sea stars, you can draw, oh, I just broke my pencil. You can draw a normal star like this and then color it in. Or, I'll use orange this time. You can do one circle, another circle, another circle, another one, and another one. There's a couple different ways that you can draw some invertebrates. Alrighty, I would like to move on to our movement part of our craft. You're going to cut a hole right along, I'll mark it, right along the side of your paper, making sure that you have some room at the edge over here. So don't cut it all the way at the edge because you need this part to go through your paper. Alrighty, so you can go ahead and take some scissors just like this. Have an adult help you if you need. You can fold this part of your paper over and make a little cut. Oh, these scissors aren't the best, I'm sorry. Little cut right there. Once you make your cut, put your scissors in your paper and cut across that line. Beautiful. That way, hello? Where'd it go? Oh, I think I did this one wrong. Pardon me. You're going to make 2 lines. Make one there. And you're going to make another one. I know I'm cutting into my kelp right now, but that's okay. And do the same thing again right next to it. That's what it is. We're going to fold it again. I shouldn't do it with scissors in my hand. fold it one more time. Make your cut. And then cut across your line. Oh, my whiteboard fell. That's okay. That way, you can slide this in. And when we put our fish on the edge, it can swim through the kelp. Now that fish that we're going to put on the edge over here is a very special kind of fish. And I think Connolly knows what fish I'm alluding to. I'm wondering if we could... perfect. This, my friends, is the state fish of California, the Garibaldi. It's bright colors they use to kind of warn other critters that live in the kelp forest because they are fierce, fierce protectors of their home. They got beautiful blue eyes, and look at the shape of that tail. What shape do we see there? Is there some shape that we're familiar with? A heart. Very, very good. So when we draw our Garibaldi, I'm definitely going to make a heart with the tail and then a very, very round body. And then I'll add the fins a little bit later as well. Let's go draw our Garibaldi. Are you ready? Again, I might not be the best at drawing the Garibaldi, but I'll turn it this way first so I can draw a heart. We'll do one half of the heart, second half of the heart. So we have the tail. Let me zoom in. Turn it back this way. And then I'll make a very round body. That's going to be where their mouth is, so I'll come back up here. But I won't finish it because that is where I want their fin to go. I realize I'm drawing on top of this. It is making it a little bit harder to draw, but that's okay. I'll make a little mouth here, and I'll make their other fin here, and their gill right here, and their eyes right here. I know they have blue eyes, but yeah, I'll try to draw blue. Why not? There we go. Again, not the best, okay, but it doesn't have to be perfect. That's absolutely fine. You can go ahead and cut out your Garibaldi. Doesn't have to be perfect. If you want to get it perfect, by all means, please feel free to do so. But for right now, I'm just going to do that. Move my scraps out of the way. And I will tape my Garibaldi to the top of our moving piece. I'm going to make a little folded piece of tape. You can also use glue if you want. There we go. Okay, so we have our moving part, which is wonderful. But there are a few other things that I would like to discuss with you in our last 2 minutes. Time went by super duper fast. We did our abiotic factors, our non-living factors. We also started to draw our biotic factors as well, our living factors like our kelp, those invertebrates, our Garibaldi, and for fun, I'm going to teach you how to draw one final critter. It's brown, it's fuzzy, it's adorable, you know it, you love it, it's a sea otter. Let's go ahead and pull up a picture of a sea otter really quick, make some observations, and then we'll draw. This fur is so incredibly dense. They have the densest fur of any marine mammal. So we're going to try to make it as fuzzy as possible. They have a really long body and little fin-like feet on the back end of them to help them swim around and change direction. Their paws are very similar to, say, a dog or a cat. They help them to grab things because they use tools to help them eat their food. And, of course, a very cute big nose. Let's go on over to my drawing and quickly draw a sea otter. This is going to be a super speed drawing. What I'm going to do is draw a circle and then an oval right next to the circle. This is going to be where our noggin is. This is going to be where our body is. I'm going to draw those fin-like feet, almost like a half a rectangle. I'm going to draw arms, or those little paws. Using my black, I'm going to draw a triangle-shaped nose, a big smile, some eyes. They also really love to eat sea urchins, so I'm going to have my otter hold a sea urchin. And of course you can draw yours in and give it that beautiful fur we were talking about. But my friends, here is our beautiful kelp forest interactive craft. I know that was super, super fast. I wish I had so much more time to talk to you about the kelp forest, but, oh, I'm getting stuck. But I don't. I want to thank you so, so much for joining us today. I hope your Garibaldis are just as happy as mine is right now going through all of this kelp. I would encourage you to explore more about our ocean backyard, my friends. As a matter of fact, our next program is all about protecting our ocean backyard. So I highly suggest that you check us out at 3 o'clock for how we can protect the world that we live in, specifically the ecosystem that we have here in Southern California, which is the kelp forest. If you have any final thoughts or questions, please feel free to text us at 562-286-1838 or email us at live@lbaop.org. Thank you all so much for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be kind to each other and be kind to our environment, everyone. Bye-bye.